Today my responsibility is to transport the Great Sword. This time, our destination is located on the vast expanse of the endless Gobi. Because of the tight schedule, every vehicle had 2 drivers, and each driver was allowed a break. A compact team of 13 men traveled continuously, day and night, eating and sleeping, to ensure we reached the destination by the end of the day. On this occasion, we were traveling from Dayang, Sichuan. Departure was from a small town in the Gobi region of Xinjiang, Hami, which is 30,000 kilometers away. Due to long distances and tough driving conditions, we prepared the trucks thoroughly to ensure all units were in top condition. The equipment weight was light, so we used Joe's smallest beams, totaling 55 meters. Before departure, mechanics checked the trucks, focusing on steering levers linked to the hydraulically plated plates of the 12/8 tires. Precise alignment is crucial, not just maintenance. During loading, errors are corrected, adjusted to preset length, and tested to avoid wear from tire errors. On the tire side, the total distance on this mission exceeded 0 kilometers. Owners need to replace tires that are flawed and excessively worn out. The selection of tires for the 100-ton mesh demands high standards for abrasion resistance, compression resistance, and high-temperature resistance. Unlike the car version, the tractor requires a much stronger grip to tow the car version, and it still uses the heavy-duty tires of the medium-side 18 grade. The task of changing dozens of tires is given to a guy from a nearby tire repair store. For the tractor, besides maintenance, the technicians also remove the spare oil drums meant for short-distance use and replace them with massive spare oil tanks. As a former travel blogger, I brought along camping gear, including a bivouac bed, sleeping bag, and tent, and took a nap in the service area along the way. The icebox was packed with flavors from my hometown countryside, like hot and sour peppers and peppercorns, which I just couldn't get enough of. Chicken, sausage, and pigeon walls are heated up with rice for a belly wrap. This mission covers 3,000 kilometers and must be delivered within 10 days. Each time you embark on a new mission, it's with hopes and dreams that the wilderness beckons you. Please enter the cockpit right away. 240 hours ahead, owners don't have scheduled downtime, so take a moment to relax when you switch to the passenger side. When you reach the passenger side, it's important to pause for a moment. When we left this place, it was still a golden wheat field, waiting for the convoy. Kaishuan had likely already harvested it by now. This time, we have 3 guard cars. The 2 in the back are responsible for observation and suppression. I take the trunk car to go ahead and measure the passage letters and road conditions. The advance warning report acts like the convoy's forward vision. For instance, right here, the mixer above is about to enter the main road. The lead vehicle not only signals the mixer to let him through but also informs the convoy of the situation. The convoy monitoring vehicle moves forward to the leftmost lane to ensure traffic safety. Then, the transport vehicle shifts to the left side and reduces its speed to maintain a safe distance for any possible situations. The final vehicle owner minimizes the risk, ensuring a safe passage through the intersection. The phase stimulates the not yet fully awakened nerves, starting my fighting time. The car runs much smoother on the highway, but it requires more effort to monitor the driving conditions because it's not the same as the rest of the vehicle. The speed difference between the vehicles is significant, and the truck's operations need a monitor's warning. It was my first time following a car long distance. I didn't realize the task's difficulty, just felt a bit excited. The Sichuan Road Tunnel is linked to the tunnel, and the transport car must stay centered to avoid scraping the tunnel roof, so the guard car needs prior notice to warn others. Brother, 800 meters ahead, entering the tunnel. It's still too large. Is there more of this fruit available to eat? This is a small tunnel. Both sides are good to eat. A small driver supervised the stop until 3 o'clock. The energy was drained. After the old driver was burnt on and off, the whole body was numb. But this is the usual state for long-distance drivers. 4 o'clock. 15 o'clock. The owner pulled into the service area to refuel and inspect the transport truck. The drivers were given 2 hours to rest. This time, the military beds gave me the greatest blessing. Till dawn, the mechanic team was still busy. The good thing was that they could have a little sleep in the morning. After 24 hours of work, the men are visibly emaciated, and you'll notice there's less material in this issue because they're too tired to shoot. But today there's breakfast, and you can have a mechanical one, which will give you the strength you need to get back to the field of battle. This one, after devouring my meatloaf, it's time to go on duty again, this time only until 1 a.m. When I'm just about to go to bed, a loud bang in the tunnel alerts the guard car to sit down and inform the mechanic. The mechanic rushes to check out the problem. The reason we had to stop was because an old tire on the first bridge blew out. To prevent the tire wire from causing damage to the hydraulic line, we needed to stop and raise the bridge. This allowed us to locate the nearest service area to change the tire as the first truck. Raise the faulty bridge suspended in the air to find the nearest service area to change the tires. As the first car, we arrived early to check the parking conditions. 7 kilometers away, the service area was already full of trucks. After asking the truck driver to let us clear a narrow path, we asked the owner to enter the service area because the owner was too tall. Usually, such minor services aren't offered. We did not want to stop, but it's a hassle to get in and out with trucks packed tightly. This helps prevent property loss, but we must leave with them in the morning. As the mechanics team works on vehicles, the driver takes a break. Road repairs stretch for 50 kilometers, and transport trucks wait in the service area. We needed to arrive early to check. After crossing the Qinling Mountains last night, the landscape was broader, and the water horse led trucks down the highway. Machines were active in the area, and it wouldn't pass soon. You take the car, right? Wait until evening, change the time to 12 o'clock. It's a real pain in the ass. The entire crew was traveling day and night, and now we're forced to take a break for about 10 hours or so. After the commander took the time to write down the phone numbers of the people on the spot, we headed down to Guyuangan and waited for a fresh meal at a local restaurant. If you're not familiar with an area, you're likely not going to make a mistake if you choose a restaurant that's crowded in that place. Buns? How many do you need? 2 pieces of meat, 2 vegetables. Can I have the one with lotus flower? Gao. We usually don't stop at this place, so this is a rare opportunity to recommend this bakery. But this is not a scenic spot, you won't come here for nothing. The lamb and onion stuffing is amazing, and this is also related to the quality of lamb in Ningxia. At 22 o'clock, we met with the caravan, and all the Daejeon cars waited for the release of the caravan in the safety zone set up by the water horse. After 20 hours of stopping, the caravan started off again. After that, the guard car with the mechanic drove ahead because there were safety bins at each section of the road. The width of the outflow was only wide enough for ordinary Daejeon trucks to pass through, and we were not ordinary. It was even more difficult when we found out that 2/3 of the road was taken up by Tampu Street just a few kilometers ahead. I believe that the leader's heart was cooled down by half because if we couldn't get out of the road today, we would have to wait for another day, and we were in a hurry. I told the paving machine mechanic, perhaps you could help him, and I'll pay him for the hard-earned overtime. Otherwise, we'd wait for over 10 people to arrive and have much work to do. Meanwhile, I received a call from the paving company and requested the owner to arrange for the driver to move the car. At 1:30 p.m., the driver arrived. There are devices on both sides of the paver that extend out to form a square, and they can't be dismantled quickly. So, I tried to get as close as possible to the guardrail to allow space for paving. We can make it tighter, then measure the width, but it's clearly not enough. It's still 40 centimeters short. The crew came up with an idea to use a step ladder with a sleeper horse to tip the machine up so that the tail extension would fall over the guardrail, thus finally gaining enough width to pass through. There were all sorts of hiccups along the way, and that's why we stayed on the road day and night, even though we had 10 days to do so, to allow enough time to deal with all sorts of emergencies. The safety barrels stretched for more than 10 kilometers, and the 2 monitoring trucks were moved, restored, and alternated between them until the road was finally closed for construction at 4:10 o'clock. Here, large patches of corn are planted, and in the morning sun, you can faintly see wind turbines planted on the distant hills. I don't know how they were transported up there, but the trees are scarce, so magpies like to make their nests on the electricity poles. I've gotten a little used to the day and night, and it's a good cure for my insomnia. On the 5th day, the owner entered the desert without incident, for the field of vision opened up. The guardianship was somewhat lighter, yet it remained a constant rush. Every pilot needs the extreme, except the one flying. But in reality, it's not worth the price of the plane itself. Besides swallowing it and sleeping well, there's something else to boost your morale. Boiled water is hotter, and when you start drinking it, it burns your mouth and throat, and you all look so gloomy and tough. After a couple of drinks, all the tiredness evaporates with the heat. The old man drained the power supply of his truck last night and asked us to light a fire, so that all the coal mines in the vicinity would use this kind of container to transport their coal. In my opinion, this is probably to minimize the traveling distance, but I am afraid that the construction of energy resources in the border area will not be the same as this. The wind turbines will fill up the mines, and even before we can see the borders, the energy generated will be directly delivered to Chongqing through the power grid within 0.1 seconds. Our destination is the coal power plant that will support the Jiangmian fishing project, which is already very close to the national border. Underneath the boundless sand lies a treasure, and on the 7th day, after crossing 3,000 kilometers, we finally saw our destination in the distance. It's a great honor to be able to participate in this project indirectly, as the electricity produced here travels over the mountains and reaches Chongqing. It's just a straight line away. The exhaustion and anxiety from the past few days have finally disappeared. It's evident that the people of Sichuan don't eat poorly, as long as they have the resources to do so. After enjoying lunch, we needed to break down the trucks to make it easier for us to return to Sichuan. These trucks are essentially large building blocks, and when we break them down, they turn into smaller pieces. The hydraulic plates must be loaded into 2 trucks so we can quickly make our way to the airport and wrap things up. I've come back to the location where the plane was lost. This time, Kung is accompanying me to try my luck. However, as you can see, it's not very promising. Fortunately, the plane was found and returned by a cowherd man a few days later, which is how we got the picture. This is my job, Dagger Transport, and this is the story of the drivers.